I want to take this small break from editing to talk about some of my favorite Super Nintendo games that don't get a lot of mention. Now, I'm not saying that there's no videos or reviews of some of these games and they don't get any love, but they don't get mentioned in the vein of, say, the Castlevanias or the Contra 3s or Chrono Triggers of the, Super Nintendo library. So, what I'm going to do is just talk about some of my favorites. Now, this first one's one of the first Super Nintendo games that I ever played. I got it for Christmas along with the Super Nintendo, and that is Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings is essentially a flight simulator game. You fly in an airplane, you ride a jetpack, you parachute, you do all sorts of stuff, hang glide, and it's just fun, That was the first time I was introduced to Mode 7 graphics, and it was just really a kind of a new thing back then. And so the graphics just blew me away. When you're parachuting, the sound of the wind rushing by, it sounded so real to me. It was like, wow, I'm actually skydiving, So, it's a fun game. And the final stage when you're rescuing the hostages in the attack helicopter that can be really difficult. So if you've never checked out Pilot Wings, give it a go. Now, sometimes you're in the mood for a good beat 'em up, and if you've played through all the Final Fights on the Super Nintendo and you're just looking for something new, try Batman Returns. Essentially, it's the same game, but it's Batman. And you're Batman, you're whooping up on baddies, and it's just a lot of fun. The graphics, the sound, the gameplay, it all comes together, and I love it. It's one of the games on the Super Nintendo that I pop in, from time to time when I got that urge to beat somebody down. So it comes recommended. Next on the list is another licensed game, Alien 3. I enjoyed this version much more than the Sega Genesis version, even though in the Sega Genesis version they actually shows chest busters coming out, but I guess that was a little too graphic for the Super Nintendo version. But actually they're two totally different games. It's non-linear. You get to choose your missions on in each location. Depending on which order you choose to do which mission, you can encounter different obstacles and whatnot. And I really love that aspect of it. I also love just the atmosphere of the game. You're crawling through these air ducts, and it's real claustrophobic feeling. And it gives you a real feel of being in that environment in the movie setting. All right, now here's an odd one that a lot of you are going to be like, "What? Really?" Yes, and that is the Addams Family. You wouldn't think by looking at this that it would be that great of a game, but really it kind of is. It's another non-linear game, and you're Gomez, and you go around the house and you're trying to search for all your different family members, and you're trying to search for your lost fortune and whatnot. Like I said, you wouldn't think by looking at it that it would be any good, but you pop it in, you start playing, and you're having a good time. It's pretty fun. So, and that's all it really boils down to whenever you put in a game. Is it fun to you? And I have fun playing the Addams Family. Last but not least, one of the games that I constantly played all the time back in the day, and that is Joe and Mac. Joe and Mac is just a damn fun game. It's a platformer. You can play two-player at the same time. You can go and select your stage or the route that you want to take. The graphics pop. They're amazing. This was actually early on in the Super Nintendo library, but it's a fun game. Get a friend, pick up Joe and Mac, and check it out. So those are some of my favorite lesser talked about Super Nintendo games. I didn't really go into too much depth. I didn't do a Pat the NES Punk or Brew type of review of these games, obviously. This just I just wanted to kind of briefly go over them and mention them. And if you have any Super Nintendo games that you feel don't get enough love, then feel free to do a video response. I'd love to hear what you say, and maybe check some of those out too. So I plan on doing some more videos like this, and I hope you enjoyed, and thank you, and we'll talk to you later.